Welcome to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit, a platform where we have invited Spirit to share messages, healings, and transmissions with all of us. May this energetic experience help us to expand our awareness and to deepen the relationship we have with our higher self, our spiritual team, and with Source, however we define them. Thank you for being here and for taking part in this amazing journey. Welcome to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit, Season 3, Episode 11. My name is Daniel Martinez Stahl, and I am here with you with Robin. Robin is someone that was with us for Season 1. He's got a beautiful French accent, which is always wonderful to listen to. But I will let him introduce himself. You can always check out the recordings from Season 1 in the YouTube channel. And then we will go from there. Go ahead, Robin.
So I'm a clairvoyant. I do rendezvous with people to explore their structure, meaning channel what's happening behind what the people experience. It can be in past life, it can be in the actual life or other plan as well. So that's one part of my job. And the other one is I do seminars to help people to develop their ability to channel. So I have different seminars around this thematic.
Beautiful. And one of the things that I just want to highlight, which I learned from our last season talking together, was that as you were developing your different clairs, it seemed to be coming one at a time. So you would work on one, and then that one would kind of like fade away, and then another one would come in, and that one would fade away, and then another one would come in. And so it kind of developed in steps where now you're more integrated. Yeah. And I think I just want to highlight that because it's a beautiful experience or beautiful example of how different people will develop in different ways, and there's no right way to develop.
Yeah. There's no rule. That's true.
Yeah.
For me, I jumped from clear vision to clear hearing to clear knowing. So now I'm just in clear knowing.
Beautiful. And so, as always, I'll invite people that are listening to feel free to ask questions, interact with us, raise your hand. Neither Robin nor I have any idea what we're going to be talking about. There is kind of a general subject that he chose for kind of the conversation. But this is a very open-ended conversation. So any direction that you guys would like us to go in, please feel free to point us and direct us as you wish. We will happily adjust and adapt. So Robin, let me just kind of turn it over to you and just kind of say, get us started. What would you like to share with us? Yeah,
so I wanted to share with you how the light being can help us in our evolution. So first, I think I will talk a little bit about what I call evolution from me. And it's a big subject of my life. I wake up in the morning for that.
And at the same time, can you also talk about what you mean by a light being? Because different people interpret that differently as well.
Okay. So what I call the evolution is, for me, it's to move our belief system, which keep us in a kind of a cage. Our belief system is filtering the life we experience in a certain way. Everybody is filtering life in a different way, according to his belief system, the many beliefs that we have. And for me, the evolution is to deconstruct this belief to be more free in our life. Like have more and more free will in our life. And that's how I see evolution from my side. So it's really about deconstruction. And about light beings, it's very large for me and from my experiences. So it goes from archangel, mostly from my part, work more with archangels and angels, but I work with Elohims as well. I don't know if it's like this that we say in English, Elohims. But I work as well with.
Sorry, Robin, I froze. So I froze just after you said light beings are very broad. Can you continue from there?
Yeah, sure. So for me, light beings, it's very large. I worked with archangels more than with angels from my own experience. But I work as well with Elohims in this plan of light beings. I worked a lot with nature spirits and mostly dragon. My experience is really around for many years. I had different dragons coming and they did a bit of the way with me and they went away. So yeah, nature spirit are a big connection for me as well. I work with underground spirits as well, but not that much. What else? Element spirits too, especially when I was in Peru. I had a really strong connection with element spirits. And I work as well with the spirits of some medicine plants, like mushroom, for example. I have a strong connection with this spirit in particular. And so it's very different. My experience has been on different plans of light beings. And I all call them light beings. But it will be more precise to say spirits from other dimensions, because it will take them all with this definition.
From a selfish perspective, can you talk more about dragons?
Yeah. So what I wanted to precise something as well. From my experience, we have guides who are there from the birth to the death, and some beings, some light beings, are just coming from a certain amount of time to help us to evaluate on a certain thematic that we are crossing at this time. And that was something very, very interesting for me. And that's really the experience I made, like having a dragon, for example, for 3 months, and after he went away and another one came. About the dragon, I would like to share with you one of the biggest experience I had with light beings. And it will explain as well how they can help us on this invisible plan, and which are the link as well in between the invisible world and our world. So by the time I was living with the mother of my daughter, and I met another woman, and it really opened my heart completely. It was the first time in my life I was feeling that very strongly. But I couldn't tell the mother of my daughter what I was experiencing. And during a seminar, a dragon of crystal arrived. He woke up at 3 or 4 in the morning, in the middle of the night. I asked him if he could come a bit later, but no, it wasn't possible at this time. And he woke me up, and he put inside myself etheric crystal, like on all my body. And after that, like 2 days after this experience, I experienced an awakening for 3 days. And during this experience, I couldn't feel emotions, and I was so free to say what I had to say by the time. And it was a brilliant experience in my life. And it was really the energy of the crystal. He put the crystal inside me, so I was fully in the energy of clarity. And that's why it helped me as well to say what I had to say, because I had to be clear again in a way. So they are really connected to their own energy. So I work with silver dragon, black dragon, and so on. And they all have their domain in a way. The god dragon helped me to find my inner treasure, for example. It's really interesting because it's kind of a concept of the inner treasure, which is a bit abstract. But when it comes to my life, when it came to my life, it was a certain point of my life, and the two things joined together, and I could really understand in my life what it was meaning. This treasure that I didn't want to show, that I wanted to keep all secret and all protected, actually, because it was more protected than secret, and all the beauty of it. And it was really a journey with the dragon, like it was guiding me. And when I was at the verge to open it to the world, I saw the dragon spreading gold coins in the landscape where he was flying. We really did it together, and yes, I have a thrill.
Something that I want to bring up, or highlight or emphasize is this idea of our inner treasure. Many of us, and myself included, feel like we need to protect it or hoard it or keep it closed in order to keep it safe. And the irony is that as we learn to allow ourselves to reveal our inner treasure, we experience so much more richness, not only within ourselves, but in others. And it's this aspect of opening up our inner treasure so that it's visible to the world. It's a beautiful process that I myself am learning to go on. I'm still working on letting go of my protections and my barriers, if you will. But I just wanted to bring that up because it's a nice invitation for us to remember, to keep in mind.
Yeah, the funny thing, it's really the thing we protect the most, because for us it's so fragile, and if it's hurt, we're gonna die. We think we're gonna die, and this part of us, it's really the movement which from we're gonna open to the heart, to the world completely, like to others and to the world, and we're gonna reveal ourselves to the world. And that's the fear which is behind this inner treasure that we have. And it's a path of courage to open it to the world, to open the most fragile thing in ourselves and offer it to the world, and have this trust that the world will do good with it.
It's the paradox that it feels like it's the most fragile thing in our experience, but it's actually the strongest and most powerful aspect of who we are.
Yes,
and that's what's really hard to kind of understand and recognize within ourselves, is because to us it feels so fragile, and we want to protect it and guard it, but ironically or paradoxically, it's actually our strongest, most powerful aspect, and it can never be harmed. It can never be injured. It can never be diminished. It is our inner light that shines. It is our core that is always, years ago when I was in college, I was an art major and I specialized in sculpture, and I created a cube of plexiglass. Within it, I put a light at the bottom of the cube, and then I broke clear glass all over it and all around it, and submerged it within the clear glass. And then I turned on the light, and I called it Inner Glow. That was the name of the sculpture. And the way that I would describe it to people is, we have this inner glow that is always within us, regardless of whatever is on top of it and whatever we put over it. It is always shining. And that is untouchable when we realize and recognize it for what it is. And we start to appreciate our strength and our power and our ability to interact with that aspect of ourselves. It just brings so much more richness and expansiveness to our experience. It's a beautiful thing when we're able to even touch for a moment that inner light. It's incredible.
Yeah, and there was a sentence. It's true that the thing which keep us to share this inner light, inner treasure is the fear of being judged by others. Like and the way is as well to learn to love this fragile part in ourselves, because you can see it as fragile, you can see it as a big strength as well. But it's a question of point of view. And in the past, you learn to go from a point of view to the other. And what, from my experience, it's really the moment when you open it, and it is a more fragile moment, because when it's open, it's okay. You are fully confident and you are fully linked with the world. But the moment you open it, this moment is a very fragile moment. You are so vulnerable at this point. And for me, it's really connected with opening our heart. When we are doing it, we are very vulnerable. But when it's totally open, we feel nothing.
There's something that I want to emphasize here. It's the perception of vulnerability that we feel. It's not that we feel vulnerable. And I want to highlight this because the perception of vulnerability, the perception of fragility is what keeps us limited in allowing ourselves to shine brightly and to be truly who we are. A comment that was shared in the chat is, maybe we're just being selfish and don't want to share, or afraid of what others will think of us. At least that is how I feel about my journey. And I think that that's very accurate. I think that that's a big part of why many of us kind of hold ourselves back, is partly because we have the perception that we don't want to share, but then that brings up questions of why don't you want to share who you are? What is it about sharing that is holding you back? The idea that, just in the last session, we were reminded that giving is the same as sharing. Sorry, giving is the same as receiving. And so as we learn to share the brightness of who we are, we end up receiving reciprocally, and some people would say even exponentially, a reflection of that back from the universe, the world, our environment, those around us. And it's just the perception of the fear, or the perception of the fragility, or the perception of, anyway.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, the energy of the heart, open heart, is really a cycle of giving and receiving, and it works together when it's really open. But most of the time, we have kind of a speciality, or we are good to give, or we are good to receive most of the time. And with the heart, it's really a cycle. It's balance, and it works this way. And about vulnerability, it's really connected for me to feel the world. if we have so much protection, we cannot feel the world. We are, in a way, caged in ourselves, protected from the world, because we learn the world is hurting and things. But we have to go through vulnerability, which is the place where we can vibrate the world and we can fully feel the world and be sensitive to the world. And I can see from my own experience that more I advance, more I walk on the way, more I become sensible, more I become vulnerable, more I become emotional as well. And I can feel so many things that I couldn't feel 10 years ago as well. And it's always paradoxal, because you feel much more things, you are much more conscious, but you are still so vulnerable as well, because you feel so much. It's both at the same time. It's not it cannot be a strong path. It's strong in what it opens for yourself, in the perception of the world.
For those of us that are wanting to, for lack of a better way of saying it, expose ourselves more, reveal our inner self more, become more vulnerable in our own power and in our own strength. Apart from, of course, asking a dragon to come and put a crystal gift into our being that transforms us, which, by the way, you're always welcome to do. So those that are listening, you can always ask for assistance, and you can, if the idea of having a dragon work with you, it resonates with you, you can always, call for the help of a dragon, a crystal dragon, to come and help you open up your heart space. But in addition to doing that, Robin, what would you say from your experience has helped with the people that you've worked with to help them move through that perceptual fear of vulnerability and really into recognizing the power of who they are?
It's been a long way for me because for most of my time, most of my life, I was totally closed from emotions. I was not able to express emotion, for example. And for me, the emotion is really the biggest part of vulnerability. And for me, what helped me is to understand that by my vulnerability, I could be understood more. More I keep into myself, less I can be understood. And it's really a strong thing in the human being, like being understood. We all look for this by different manner. And by clicking this in my head, understanding that more I open myself, more I can be understood, and more I can take my place as well by being understood, really helped me a lot about that. But it's when I talk about deconstruction, it's really about this. All the society is saying to us that we have to be strong, we have to go ahead, and it's a muscle society in a way, and it needs a lot of deconstruction to understand that it works completely differently than what the society told us from the beginning. So it's really deconstructing this. And one thing I realized as well on my path, it was a blow for me that more you understand your own human limits, more your inner power is growing. So it's totally paradoxical, but it works this way. So more I conscious of my limit, more I know which human I am, and more I can use more my humanity and put my energy where it will work, and less on the image that I want people to have from me, and where I spend 80% of my energy for nothing because it's just an illusion. So by being conscious of this, it was really it took me 10 days to recover from that, but it was a great lesson. Like more I am vulnerable, like I see myself as I am, more I am a powerful person.
There's an element where, and it's not saying the same thing, but it reminds me of something that I say a lot, which is that the more we understand and recognize our humanity, the more capable we are of allowing our humanity to align with our spiritual self. It opens up our human to expand into different aspects of its own abilities by understanding the human aspect of our experience. It allows us to recognize the spiritual aspect of our experience even more. It just reminds me of that.
Yeah, because when we are running behind the perfect image of ourselves, in a way we are denying who we are. So it doesn't bring really far to most of the time to deny who we are when we are really in ourselves, being able to recognize the dark part of ourselves, meaning the part which are the most difficult to love. In a way, we enlighten them at this moment, and when I was connecting my dark part, they were saying, all we need is love. All we want is love. And I understood that all this part, they wanted to be recognized for who they are and to be accepted and one step further, loved. And
it's about
and
that
the balance.
It's about that aspect that you talked about. The deconstruction element of our journey to some degree is also about an integration, and integrating all of our aspects of ourselves equally and fully allows us to experience even more. There's a phrase that I keep on being reminded of by one of the people that I work with and listen to, Sarah Landon, who happens to be following this call. The council always talks about how when you resist one thing, you are resisting everything. If there's an element of resistance in one aspect of your life, you are resisting everything in all aspects of your life. And so it's that aspect that you're talking about of being conscious and being aware of who we truly are and seeing it with eyes of compassion and understanding and love allows us to not resist aspects of ourselves, which allows us to be more open and more allowing and more accepting of ourselves and of everything else. Again, the council talks about how the relationship we have with others and with ourselves is a reflection of our relationship with Source. And I love that association. I love that invitation.
Yeah, I understand it as more we are connected to the true self, more all this energy can land on a solid thing. Because when I talk about the perfect image or the ideal image, it's all illusion, so it doesn't exist really. It's not a solid thing. It's an illusion. So more we can go into ourselves, more we are strong because we are fully ourselves, with less illusions, and that's for me what consciousness is about. Being conscious of our limit. And for example, it's still deconstruction. But for example, if a teacher say to me to a question I don't know, then I will fully trust this person, much more than the person who answer to all my questions, because this person will be able to say, okay, I don't know. He will know his limit and he will be clear with it. So it's really a path with all the ideas we have collected during our life and which are still present in our life. This strongness that we should be to be part of this world, but it's the whole contrary. The person who vibrates the world are the one who are the most vulnerable, because they can be crossed by life. And it's I connect as well with the power of the heart. It's or you are in young perspective and you block things, you put walls, or you are in very yin energy and you dive into emotions. And in between, there is the heart, and the heart is the ability to be crossed by emotion and life, vibrate it and let it go behind us. And that's one of the aim, because it's when you cross the life, it happens sometime for me, but not not always. But when it happens, it's you work on life really, and you're part of the life, and you are the life.
I love what you said. It really landed with me. What you talked about when, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but as we allow ourselves to recognize our humanity and to look at who we truly are and all of the aspects of ourselves, it allows us to become more solid. It allows us to become more grounded. It allows us to become more, it allows the foundation of who we are to be stronger, so that we can take in more energy from our higher self. I love that metaphor. I love that association. That really landed. So thank you for that. I want to,
for me, it's go ahead.
No, please go ahead. For you.
Yeah, it's both for me about solidity, but as well energy. Because when we are clearer with who we are, we don't spend too much energy on the illusion. So we gain a lot of energy. We save so much energy. And more I advance, more it's just about energy. You can rely everything on energy. When you are full of energy, you can. Some people can tell you bad thing. You can cross this easily. When you don't have energy, the smaller things will make you fall down. It's all about energy, and so how we can concentrate it or save it for what's important is really an evolution step or evolution mind. Like don't spend energy where you're gonna lose it.
There's an aspect of what you said that reminds me of, again, something that I utilize in my own process and in the way that I describe things is we can spend a lot of energy paying attention to the noise in our head. And it's tremendous. And when we perceive that the world is happening to us, we're going to innocently try to defend ourselves from the world. And we're going to create all kinds of models and more noise in our head to protect ourselves. When we recognize the truth of who we are and allow ourselves to become more settled and present, the noise settles down, it quiets down, and we're able to utilize our energy more effectively and more efficiently because we're not losing it in all of the noise as much. And what do you spend your energy, and what have you stopped spending your energy on? Can you give us examples, please?
Yes. For me, one part of it is about is linked with the notion of responsibility. So depending on your structure, you take most of the responsibility of other person, which are not your responsibility, and if you are on the other side of the structure, you will don't take your own responsibility. So just knowing which are your responsibility, for example, it's one way I saved a lot of energy. Like I don't have to take the responsibility of other person. And it's been a mantra for like 3 years, and it changed things. Because I stopped worrying about this and that because it's just not my responsibility. And what I witness as well is it's the best way to help the other person, because when you take the responsibility at their place, they don't take it, so they don't evaluate. And when you stop doing it, they have a chance to evaluate. So yes, one thing is the responsibility, and for me, so I'm going to speak for me. I was very independent person, so I wanted to do everything on my own. It was really in my structure. Then I spent more than 5 years in my yin energy, so I learned to be dependent. It was a good lesson. And from this part, I could say to people, this, I cannot do it, you can do it, you're good at this. So it was as well my way to the world, because by being independent, I was not that much linked with people. But by realizing my own limits, accepting them, I could, say, you can help me with this, and it was linking things, and I was entering the world and spending so much less energy by having to learn so much on something that I'm not good at, and I will probably won't be good at, for example.
There's something that comes to my mind as you're talking about that, which is, and this is really relevant to the whole journey that we're all talking about, which is this inner journey of going deeper within ourselves so that we can expand ourselves even more. One of the things that, again, this is something that I'm learning myself, is that it's not my job to make things happen. It is my job to desire and to point myself in a direction of my interests and to feel into what it is that I want to create. But it's the universe's job to actually create it and make it happen. And that's really hard for me to accept, because my entire life, my society, my teachers, my parents, even my own experiences have indicated that I need to do in order to achieve. And it's actually, the less we do, the more we're able to experience. The more we are present with just being, it allows us to accelerate. And so that's another example of letting go of our desire to form and to create and to do and to work and to force. I need to force my way through this. Is a lot of energy. And just learning to allow things to just kind of happen on their own and follow the flow of things is so much more effortless than it is to force something to happen. And a lot of us are taught innocently that you need to force something that you want. You need to really fight for it and work for it and struggle for it. And so that's another example of learning to let go and to be and to flow, to go with, as opposed to force and struggle through something.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And for me, try to reach something with all this energy, it takes so much energy and it doesn't work actually, because with the consciousness you can identify which are the obstacle, the inside obstacle to reach this what you want to reach. So it's the way back actually. It's not a way forward, it's a way back inside ourselves. Like what limit me to reach this thing, what block me, which belief system or other thing. And so it's really deconstructing inside what's blocking me. And when you try to reach just the aim, it cannot work because inside it's pulling back. So for me, it's the energy of let it go, but as well to identify inside which are the parts which block us, but are inside ourselves, and we try to reach something which is outside.
It speaks to this. It speaks to this idea that stillness is the path to acceleration. That the less we do, the more we actually accomplish. The more we deconstruct the things that we are innocently utilizing to hold ourselves back, the easier it is for us to flow and to move. And I want to just make a comment. I want to read a comment that was added in the chat. It goes back to concentrating on our bliss, put our focus on our passions and what lights us up. I love it. And I totally agree. I think that that's a beautiful way of summarizing what we've been pointing to. But Robin, I want to kind of, go back to the intention of the conversation that you wanted to kind of play with, which is, okay, this has been a lovely conversation, but how can we utilize our spiritual friends, our spiritual team, the light beings that are constantly around us? How can we invite them and benefit from their assistance on our journey?
For me, the key word is it's a collaboration, and it's linking some part of what we said before. We cross different things in our life, and what's important is to be conscious of what we are crossing at this point. For example, at one moment in my life, it was about recognition. It was my thematic. Like, do I recognize people? Do they recognize me? And all the universe was making a conspiracy to send me all the experiences to cross this thematic. So when you are aware of what you are crossing, like what's present for you at this moment, but you can call some light beings which work in this area, and can be linked with elements. If you need to transform things in the material world, you will more reach all the dwarf, all this kind of nature spirits which are connected to the ground. If you need creativity, you will work with elf, for example, which are connected to the air. If you need to work on your emotion, work with the spirit which are linked with the water, like a mermaid or ondines. I don't know if you say that in English, ondines. And they work beautifully on emotion. They nourish themselves with this, and they can help. So there's a part where you can call a certain spirit to help you on a certain part. That's one thing. And after is being aware of the light being which came to help you at this moment. And they're moving a lot, like a lot of passage.
Something that I'd like to add to this, because for those of us that don't know necessarily who to call, Don't limit yourself by, oh, I don't know who to call up for this. Follow what feels right for you. And in worst case scenario, call into whatever energy you resonate with and that you relate to. And it's a very collective and collaborative world in the spiritual realm. We were talking just before the call that Archangel Michael is utilized a lot as a gatekeeper, in the sense that everybody asks Michael for help for all kinds of things. Poor individual, they're really busy, supporting all of us. But there's no limit to their ability to support us. But the reason that I'm bringing this up is because Archangel Michael regularly will call in advisors that are relevant to what you're asking Michael for help with. The archangels will regularly talk about how they collaborate and support each other. Most people don't realize that Lucifer oftentimes works hand in hand with Michael on most of the things that people ask for help with, because of Lucifer's energy of helping us to see the truth of things beneath ourselves. And Lucifer is also known as being the bringer of light, which is not the association that society has of Lucifer, but that is a true element of his energy. And so if somebody's looking for assistance to feel stronger, to feel more empowered, Michael, yes, is a huge part of it, but Michael's going to bring in Lucifer as the bringer of light to help with that process. And I'm using that as an example of, you call the people and the entities and the energies that you relate with, and invite them to invite anybody else that they feel is relevant for what you're asking for. And they will bring in the elf energy or the gnome energy or the dragon that you don't even realize is the right energy for what you're asking, but they do. And
yeah, totally. And you can use a sentence like, I call the best light being to help me to this specific thing, and it will come. So just a sentence like this is enough. You don't have to know all the dictionary of the light beings. And one thing which can help as well is if you need to be more aware of the presence of the light being, it helped me a lot, is you can stand on your feet, and when you call the energy, you can ask the energy, if you are there, can you balance me, bounce me forward, and you can have a kind of dialogue with close question just with that. You say a protocol to the spirit. You say, I'm gonna ask you a question. You will put me forward if it's a yes, and backward if it's a no. And you can ask a lot of questions like this, and you don't need any specific ability or sensitivity. And I really like this technique because it goes through the body, and for me, the bodies can't lie. It's and I use it a lot.
Speaking of techniques, I want to ask you to repeat, and for those of you that listened to us season 1, hopefully this is a nice reminder, because I love this technique. Can you talk about the technique when you were talking to us last season about, do you know the technique that I'm talking about? Because I don't want to kind of reveal it too much.
No, le biochon?
There was a technique that you talked about where you put an object on the floor, and then you start feeling, and then you invite the entity. So let me speak to this, and then you can correct me, because this is the way that I remember it.
Okay,
so
I got it.
So one of the things that Robin showed us in season 1, which I loved, was one way that you can start to feel the vibration and energy of an entity that you're working with is you can put an object. I would recommend something that you love, something that you resonate with, on the floor in front of you, and you can invite that entity to embed themselves into that object or to place themselves around that object. And then you can start moving forward, and you can start to kind of feel their energy as you're approaching that physical object. So there's an element where, again, you're using the body and the idea of physical space to start to resonate with, at a feeling level, at a sentient level, what that energy might feel like within your experience. And so I really love that as a beautiful kind of exercise to start to feel the vibration of different beings.
And the key in this technique is to start a little far, like 1 meter, 1.50 meters, and go with the hand like this, very slowly, because what you will feel the most is the beginning of the layer of the energy of the light being. Meaning, when you go from where you are not on the layer, then you touch the layer. Because when you are on the layer, into the layer, you won't feel that much energy. It's it's really the border, the limit of the layers that you will feel the most. And talking about this technique, you can do a similar thing, as I said, with the body, with two references. So you put two references on the floor, like far from 2 or 3 meters, because some light beings are very large. And after, you can feel the energy on one reference, and you can say, I'm going to ask you a question. And if the answer is yes, you go on this reference. And if it's no, you go on the other one. And after, you can feel where is the light being. And it's really interesting because it trains you to feel when there's no energy and when there's some. And after you come a bit further, after you can scan things, being 3 meters from far or 10 meters, you can scan things.
Something else that I want to bring up, and it's going to sort of change the direction a little bit, but I wanted to say it earlier and it just popped in my head again, which is that when we are inviting to communicate with our team, there's a question here, which beings did you do this with? I'll let Robin answer that question momentarily, but you can do this with anybody. You can do this with your higher self, with your spirit team. You can do this with angels. You can do this with elementals, with the Fey world. You can do this with anybody. Any energy can fall within this process of communication with you. But what I want to talk about is a lot of times when we engage with our interest to connect with the spirit team, for example, if I say to the universe, I need help with this area, can the most appropriate being come forward and help me with this? Be really open and allow yourself to listen for their presence in ways that you might not expect. Ana Maria Vasquez in episode 2 or 3 of day 1, again, reminded us that, the trees will constantly remind us that humans are really good at asking questions, but we're really bad at listening for answers. And when we're connecting with our team and spirits and elementals and different elements, we have an idea that they're going to communicate with us the way that you and I are communicating now. And that's not often how they do. They can. And for some of us, they do. But they'll communicate through metaphor. They will communicate through experiential things where a couple days down the road, you're going to see something, a cat's going to cross the path and a thought's going to hit you as you see the cat. And so being open to many different avenues for them to communicate with you, to let you know that they're here and helping you and assisting you. I don't know what that first word is, Bev. Dropping a nut on your head? Yeah. Yes. So as you're walking down as you're connecting with a tree and an acorn happens to hit your head, yeah, I mean that's that's a communication. That's beautiful.
For example, in the different way that light beings are talking to us, I was on my Vespa. And I was wondering at this time of my life, what am I going to do with my life? I look up and one truck was driving and it was written teach on the truck. At the same moment, I raise up had the answer of my question with a truck. So it's something you cannot imagine. And so I jumped to one other thing as well. With the help of light being, you can ask them to receive a healing. I work a lot like this. Like if you cross something difficult or don't feel well for any reason, you can ask a light being to work energetically on yourself. And it's very good because first it heals, but by feeling the energy, it become more concrete that light beings exist and they can work and all these things. Because it takes a certain time to sharp our belief in this world, because we are so much in the material world. And as well, you can ask. Me, I didn't ask, but I receive initiatic. I don't know, initiatic thing. It was like at 1 o'clock in the morning, they wake me up. I receive energy for 30 minutes, and for 8 days like this, and it changed things in my structure. It was really initiatic. Sometimes it was 1 time, sometimes it was 7 times, and it was always on a specific subject or to develop something as well. And they can work with object as well. Like if you have difficulties to be in your own royalty, for example, which is like how you habit your inner kingdom in a way, but they can put a crown on your head, like energetical crown, and it works actually. It's you can feel that you are different. There's many ways to be helped, and it's a collaboration because at a certain time they will help you on a certain way.
One thing that I'll add to this is that there's no limit to how they can help you. The only limit that they have is they need to work through the beliefs that we perceptually believe to be real and the limitations that we innocently create about our experience. And I'll give you a perfect example. In my class, my channeling class with Jamie Butler, we were talking about balancing the chakras and how to, balance the chakras and how to clean the energy and all of that. And I will say this lovingly of myself, I tend to be a very lazy person. And so I said to her, hey, can I just ask my higher self and my spirit team to balance my chakras and clean my energy? And she laughed and she said, yes, absolutely, you can. But many of us believe that we need to actively do something in order to receive help. And so the only limitation is that many of us will resist that because we believe we need to actively do something, have it be meditate, have it be doing a visualization, have it be whatever. And I kind of went, cool, okay, so I can do that. And so the only limitation that they have is the innocent beliefs that we create of our perceptual reality. And like Robin is so beautifully inviting us to do is the more that we deconstruct those beliefs, the more access we have to receive and to play with these incredible energies in different ways. So don't limit yourself in any way. If you want to engage with spirit and your team in one way, if that feels right for you, absolutely yes is the answer. You can, and they do.
I totally join you in the belief system. One experience I made which changed a lot of things for me, it just I said, I create a pyramid of energy on the floor now. And then I touched it and there was a pyramid of energy on the floor. And I was like, oh my God, I can create this like this just by saying it. And after I check it numerous of times. And so I invite you to do this simple experience. You create any etherical object and just touch it. And so it moved me. If you want to raise your energy, you just say, I raise my energy now, and it works. I do it. It, as you said, it's so simple that you cannot believe it's that simple. And that's really a human way of thinking. If it's too complicated, or it cannot work, or it's not real.
Yeah.
But most of the time, the real beauty of things, they are so simple.
So there's a question following up on what we're talking about from Caroline. Can we create animals? And the answer is yes, and we do all the time. And this is really hard for us to understand, and I'm still getting my head around what I'm about to say, but all of the animals that we experience in our perception, it can be said, and it has been said by spirit, that we are the ones that are creating them. Every single physical object that exists is created via thought. When you think about something, you create it, and you create it energetically. And if you focus on that enough, that energetic element will eventually turn into a physical form. And I don't know how that process would work, but from a more kind of realistic level of a conversation, if you want to create an animal energetically, if you focus on that, you will create that animal energetically, and that animal will be real as you and I are. They're just going to be in energetic form. So I would say yes is the answer to your question, Caroline. There's no limit to what we can create. Now, here's the other thing that I want to play with. And again, this is something that I'm still learning myself. And again, believe me, this is really hard for me to accept. But what I always talk about and what I always point myself towards is that if I am source energy, I am the energy that creates universes. So what can I not create? What am I limited to create if I am the energy that creates everything that exists? And this is what we are pointing ourselves towards in many of these conversations, is for us to remember and to recognize the divinity of who we are. Our higher self is a spark of source energy. And I talked about this in my session in episode 1. We are the ocean in the drop. We're not the drop in the ocean. And if I am the ocean in the drop, there's nothing that limits me other than the perception that I have, the innocent perception that I have of limitation, whatever that limitation might be. Oh, I can't grow a limb. Oh, I can't, create this, or oh, I can't do that because I'm just a measly little human. That's a perceptual limitation that exists. And where we are going as a society globally is to a point where we are coming into an energy of the world where we freely remember that we are source energy, and we can start to play with form and to create in human form from that perspective. And that to me is really powerful. And the invitation that I hear from spirit all the time is, we are already there. The world is already in that place where we can create, knowing that we are the creators of our own creation, create with a knowing that we are source energy, and live life from that space. The world is already able to support that lifestyle, and we're just kind of catching up to it because, we have the perception that we're working through. But that's exactly the point where we're at. All of the work that Robin is doing with the people that he's working with, all of the work that I do with people, with yourselves in this program, is to bridge the gap from the idea of limitation to the idea of infinite potential. And we're literally in that bridge where we're walking from one aspect of creation with limitation to an aspect of creation from a perspective of limitless potential. How cool is that? And that fires me up to think about that. That's where we're going. And that's what we're doing. All of us are helping each other get there. The fact that you guys are here is helping me help you get there. And the fact that you guys are here are helping me get there. And so for me, this is the beauty of coming into this part of time. We chose to be here exactly at the time when this world is shifting. We could have come back 50 years ago when it was beginning to kind of introduce the idea of the new shift. And of course, people, spirit will say that it's taken thousands of years to get here, but you get what I'm saying. Or we could have chosen a lifetime where we're born 50 years down the road where that shift is already much more in place, but we didn't. We chose this lifetime to be exactly at this point to experience and to help with that shift. So anyway.
I'm gonna jump on what to say. You say, for me, what you say is linked with the energy of the inspiration, and the energy of the inspiration is going from the sky, from all these light beings, and through the sevens, and the energy of the inspiration is putting us above obstacles and about the inside obstacles. We are lifted by something which is stronger than us and which will bring us to a place we don't even know what it is. So I will talk about inspiration and what I call evidence. No, I know in obvious thing. When you feel it's obvious, evidence is different in English. When it's obvious inside, and I more and more follow this thing, which are not all the time, but sometimes I feel that something obvious, and it's not me, it's not just me, it's bigger than me, and it's very strong energy, because when it's beyond me, when it's bigger than me, the ego has no place. I just know I have to do this or go there or experiment this, and for me and for the others as well. I'm not cut from the others at this time. It's really in the energy of being linked to a bigger purpose, in a way. And you can really sometimes feel it. It's really important to be aware when this energy is it's just obvious. It cannot be something else than that. And when you follow the flow, it's you bigger than you. You are connected.
There's the invitation that as we allow ourselves to step into the power of who we are and to recognize the divinity within ourselves, we're going to invite the universe to reveal itself to us in ways that are beyond our imagination. The greatest thing you could think about, the greatest way in which you could live your life, is still a limited perspective of what's possible. What is possible goes beyond what we can even imagine. And that to me is it feels very foreign because I haven't experienced that myself. But God, isn't that just beautiful to think about as a direction to point my interest in and my energy and my focus in? I'm still battling through a lot of deconstructing my limitations, and I talk about them all the time. But I'm also pointing myself in that direction where I'm so excited to let myself really shine and to really be everything that I can be and to experience things that are far beyond my expectation and imagination. That's amazing to even consider. And I know that that's possible for me. And I know that that's possible for everybody that's listening to this, to anybody in this world that's possible. And so for me, this is the process that we're going through right now, is to get to that point within ourselves as a society. And that's the bridge that we're currently in.
Yeah, and the path to go there can be very surprising. For example, I experienced a depression for a few months, and the best thing which happened to me, it kind of cleared me at a huge level. So still I'm connected, but I do the experience of depression, but with consciousness, which was a new experience, and it was really crazy to see all the goodness in the path of depression working on me, like turning my way of thinking. I could observe my thought much more than I used to do, and I learned so much about it. Because I'm not very mental, so I'm not used to have all this loop of thinking in my head, and it was all the time. So I could observe them fully, and I learned so much about it. I could really check all the pressure, all the different pressure I had onto myself, and work on it. And it was God's path, but with depression. So it's what I try to communicate with this is light can be everywhere, or you can light everything in your life. Even this kind of thing, like a depression, is crossing this thing is not the most important thing. It's what you do with it, and that's the light which is in it. So everything is will help you to evaluate, to link with the beginning of the discussion. Like you fall down on the floor, you will see things differently. You will evolve. It's
That's actually true. When you're on the floor, your point of view is different than when you're standing up. That's actually very true.
Something like the babies, and they all understood. These people.
That's actually a beautiful metaphor. I'm going to borrow that when I'm talking to people, that when you fall on the floor, your point of view is different. It allows you to see differently than when you're standing up.
Yeah, that's still in the aim to open the perspective and the possibilities. Light is not just on the top of the mountain. Light is behind everything. And mostly the more painful thing we cross brings something into us, because we are different. We learn from it. And yeah, so have success in your depression if you're crossing one.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So where else would you like to go? Would you like to just kind of tap into your team to see if there's anything that they would like to share with us, or whatever energies decide to come forward? Does that feel like a good place for us to do that?
We can do this. They avaient déjà commencé. Sorry. They already started before the conference. So I already had the energy, but I didn't know it was this. It will come back. So I'm connected with the energy of the magic mushroom, which are an energy which is really connected with the energy of the laugh, like laughing. And so they remind me that with the laugh, the energy of laughing, you change the energy totally and completely. So when you hear a laugh, or when yourself are laughing, you are really connected to your higher self. And that's something
that I just want to highlight is you're pronouncing, it sounds like you're saying love and laugh.
Laugh, sorry. I'm talking about laugh.
And I want to highlight this because there's an element where laughter brings us to love. And so even though his pronunciation is sounding like love and he's wanting to say laugh, so laughter, it's beautiful that his pronunciation reminds us and points us and sounds like love. So just for what it's worth.
So sorry, I have an ecstatic wave of energy because they're really connecting to me. So I try to be a little serious in this laughing talk. But that's something as well that I connected during seminar. When you eat Tibetan bowl, all the energy which is dense will collapse on the floor in an instant. But when somebody is laughing, it's exactly the same. All the tense and dense energy will collapse on the floor. And we really can see that in life, when we feel nervous or something else, we will have a nervous laugh, which will make the energy collapse. The energy of the tension, it will collapse with the laugh. Sorry, the laugh. It's a very strong energy which will shift things energetically and in the spirit, in ourselves, and we underestimate the power of the laugh. and I really want to say any laugh. If it's embarrassment laugh, it works too. It's really a powerful energy. And they're saying as well, sorry, they're saying as well that when we laugh, we take distance with things. And that's something I experienced with this mushroom energy. They were showing me my ego, but with a distance, and I was laughing like crazy. I spent half of the ceremony rolling on the floor, laughing. And it's true, when most of the things which make us laugh in stand-up or all things is because people are talking about something with distance. And when we have distance, we can laugh about it. And it's powerful lesson as well. Like when we take distance, we think a step on the side, we can feel it can be funny sometimes, just because we took one step beside. Something which was so serious, was pushing us in so much sadness. You see it on different perspective, just softening the situation and where you were at this time when you were at this place, you change place and you are able to love. And yeah, when somebody is working on a banana, when you are working on banana skin, it's not funny at all. But when somebody else on the other side of the street is doing the same, it's really funny. Because you have the distance, that's all. So, yeah.
We are reminded by spirit time and time again that laughter is an incredible experience that will allow us to expand very easily and very quickly. That laughter is very powerful. It's a very powerful medicine.
It's instant magic shift. It's really what it is. And the spiritual world, it's full of humor. I'm always very surprised when people take this word so seriously, because they made me laugh so many times. By laughing at me, but with a lot of love. Like they were mocking me, but with the heart. and I was laughing with them. Because it's really about taking distance, which make you create the inside laugh.
And Chiara is reminding us that laughter is contagious, which is also true. You know, it's one of those things where if we are lighthearted with ourselves, we're going to invite those around us to be lighthearted in their experience as well. So thank you for the reminder, Chiara. Do you want to talk to us about how people can work with you and engage with you if they're interested in exploring that with you?
So from we can arrange a rendezvous. It's 1 hour. I do 1 hour session. Contact me, and the way I work is really I connect the person with the problematic the person has, problematic, limitation, pattern which come all the time, or others. And I connect to the person through the problematic, and I receive information about what's happening behind this, because most of the time we live things on the surface of things, and we are not aware about what's pulling the strings behind. And by naming what's happening below and putting up to the consciousness, it's already the beginning of the path to change things in ourselves. And that's a kind of channeling, which I don't know which string will arrive. But it can be on the structure, it can be on past parallel lives, it can be on the psychogenealogy, the ancestors, it can be on many other things as well. I just don't know what's behind before I connect to this. And that's something I can do in English language, because the seminar I will do them at the moment in French and in France. So it's more about the rendezvous I'm doing.
Beautiful. So if you resonated with Robin and you want to work with him, I would invite you all to reach out, connect with him. You can get information about how to reach him on the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit website, of course. And so thank you very much, Robin, for being with us, for helping us laugh through. So let's all laugh right now.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for creating these spaces. It's such a pleasure for me to talk with you and the person who will listen to it. It's so fluid and thanks from my heart. It's a blessing.
It is our honor and gratitude from all of us for you as well, for playing with us and allowing us into our journey, and the honor is ours as well. So thank you very much. So guys, I will say, and I am very biased, Sarah Landon, who's coming up next, is one of my favorite people. She's amazing. The council that, the message that the council has inspires me regularly, daily. So if you have the chance to visit us live, I would highly recommend it. And if not, check it out in the recording. Robin, thank you very much for everything. As always, I look forward to the next time that we get to play together and chat and go on our respective journeys of wherever we go. So thank you so much for being with me again. Honor and a pleasure. And for those of us that are coming back, I'll see you at the top of the hour. And if not, then I will leave you until next time with being spirit, being human, and simply being from love. Thank you for being part of this incredible experience. We hope that this session has inspired a new level of understanding within you, allowing you to expand more easily into the essence of your true self and become an even more powerful alchemist in your own life. We invite you to listen to the session again and again in order to go deeper each time and expand even more. Have it be via the replays or the unlimited access package. If you have enjoyed being part of this event, we invite you to tell your friends so that they can join us in the future. We are grateful that you are here, and we thank you for co-creating this experience with us. Until next time, we leave you with being spirit, being human, and simply being from love.